Today's show has two sponsors. It's sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek makes buying tickets to sports and concerts easier than it's ever been. You can get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase if you download the SeatGeek app. Enter the promo code TSS, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. That's a real thing, and you can really do it. Today's show is also sponsored by RX Bar. RX Bar is the whole food protein bar. That means there's no nonsense in there. For 25% off an RX Bar order, you can go to rxbar.com/soccer and enter promo code soccer at checkout. Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Darryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who scores an 800 on the Audi Player Index. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Is that good? Is that bad? I still don't understand that thing.
I don't know either.
Okay.
It's just a random number that's generated. It sounds good, right?
You think it is? I feel like it actually could be a random number. What was the one in the Sporting KC game? Was it like 500 to 12 or something?
I think Diego Rubio got like
a 50
20,
or something. Yeah.
And David Villa got about a 500.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means something. Congratulations to David Villa.
Let's say you score 1,000 on the Audi Podcaster Index.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Equally meaningless, but I'll take it.
Out of 1 million.
Perfect.
So today's thumbs up.
I'm glad you amused yourself.
Thumbs down. That's what this show's all about. Weekend review. We're going to go around the Premier League, a little look into Europe, check in on some American youngsters, some coming back from injury, some making their debuts, their professional debuts. And we're going to do a Major League Soccer roundup. Get your thumbs ready, Taylor. Mm-hmm. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can we please start with this morning's game, US Eastern Time, where Man City beat a stationary Chelsea?
Sure. 1-0 to Man City. Where would you like to start?
I'm going to start with thumbs down to Cesar Azpilicueta for getting in the way twice.
All right. I'm assuming the first one you're going to reference would be the goal line clearance he had from Leroy Sané's cutback and shot.
So it was a great cross. I believe it was Kevin De Bruyne. It was one of those nice deep crosses to the far post. Leroy Sané has one of those dream touches, right? It's the reason you watch the Premier League is to see the type of touch that Sané has, where he just he doesn't just take it down. He takes it down and cuts it back and makes the angle for him to shoot. Right? Beats the keeper, Courtois, and then says Azpilicueta's on the line to block it. So he kind of ruined it, right? But then he also...
depending on your perspective, but sure.
Yeah. Well, if you just tune in as a neutral.
Yeah.
Then he blocks Christensen's clearance for Man City's goal. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
So there's a kind of through... You've seen the goal, right?
Yeah.
The Bernardo Silva goal? It comes from a through ball that Christensen gets to, tries to side foot it clear, but Azpilicueta gets in the way. It bounces off of Azpilicueta. Okay. David Silva reads it, pounces on it, squares it to the far post. Bernardo Silva scores, makes it 1-0. So thumbs down to Cesar Azpilicueta for getting in the way.
I feel like one of those is harsher than the other one, but I'm with you on that one. I will say thumbs up to Leroy Sané's Harry Houdini impression, because that's the thing that impresses me the most, is how he constantly seems like he's trapped, seems like there's no way he's getting out of it, and then does a quick little turn. His control is so good, his agility is so tight that he can just get out of any sort of challenge.
You think of that one dribble he had that almost resulted in a goal that would have been great.
That was really pretty. There was the one where he turns away from Victor Moses, gets fouled by Victor Moses, doesn't go down, drives forward, plays the ball into the box. No one's there to meet it. You could argue that maybe he should have found somebody to meet it, but still, just the way he's able to avoid pressure, avoid challenges, and ride challenges at times, I think is incredibly impressive for being as young as he is.
Have you got anything else on this game?
I've got several things. I'm going to say thumbs down to Pep Guardiola's scream. He screamed after the match. It was very high-pitched. I don't expect Pep Guardiola to have a high pitch, but he did a celebratory scream, but it was very high-pitched.
Yeah.
But I think it also speaks to the level of emotional involvement he has in that they're almost about to secure the championship in March.
Is that possible?
Maybe.
You haven't run the numbers, have you?
No, I don't.
It feels very
not.
Guardiola. That definitely happened for Bayern Munich. They won it in March.
And I'll say finally, thumbs up to Man City's defensive efforts, because they kept Chelsea.
They have to do anything?
Well, Chelsea did not have a shot on target in the entire game, and I would say that's as much due to City's defensive efforts as it was City's possession and just ability to completely kill the game off and demoralize Chelsea.
It really felt that way, right? I've got a thumbs up to, on Twitter, Leroy SZN, who had the great tweet, quote, "Your opponent has left the match," unquote, with a clip of Chelsea just standing still as Man City pass the ball around. And there gets to be one point, I think it's David Silva, I can't remember if it's Silva or De Bruyne, has foot on the ball, Cesc Fabregas is in front of him, and Fabregas, he's just given up, right? He's just not coming after the ball. It was at the 70-something minute, like Chelsea 1-0 down. You should be going after that ball and trying to gun for an equaliser.
The only thing I can think is that they had been like so drilled in the week leading up to this game by Antonio Conte to like not break shape, to keep things contained, and that they just never shifted out of that. Because the thing that blew my mind is I saw that clip and I went to try to find it so I could like figure out what was going on, and then I thought I found it. And that wasn't it. And then I thought I found it, and that wasn't it, because it happened so many times that Chelsea just sat back and gave City time on the ball and didn't try to pressure them. And this is when they were already 1-0 down, because City scored inside, the first minute or two of the second half?
Yeah, so it really was. It was within the first minute.
It just seemed very surprising to me that Chelsea didn't really try to do that much.
There was 44 minutes to have a change of approach, right? Can we just confirm that your opponent has left the game, I assume, is a video game thing?
Yes.
And it's when you're like maybe playing online against someone and they've walked away, and your guys, the team you're playing against just kind of stands stationary.
Yeah, I think it's basically...
I'm not a gamer, so I don't really know.
I believe you're correct. It could be like a connection lost, but more often than not, it's the opponent has given up.
Yeah.
And they've just gotten frustrated and quit. And that is kind of what this seemed like.
Thrown their controller across the room.
Yes. I want to say this without, I know we try not to do this sort of typical soccer podcast talk, but would you agree with me that top four feels like it's more or less going to go one way at this point? Because I feel like Arsenal
Is it Chelsea, Arsenal outside of it?
Yes. Arsenal, I think, are 10 points or more outside of top four.
We're going to talk some Arsenal.
And Chelsea feel like they're kind of slipping a little bit. It seems like maybe Antonio Conte's time with Chelsea might come to an end at the end of the season. It just feels like it sort of is going to be the gap widening. That's famous words. Watch Man United drop out, and then
you never know, right?
I'll rue the day.
You never know what's going to happen. All right, so we don't.
So you wouldn't agree with that then?
I don't agree with that just because it doesn't feel like that's ever happened in March in the Premier League.
Okay.
Right? I think Chelsea will go to the end at least.
Okay.
Arsenal could go either way, right? There's always some sort of Arsenal resurgence.
I mean, I think Wenger said yes. It's almost impossible.
Right, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. I assume.
I would assume it means we're going to really focus on the Europa League and try to make something happen there.
He won't want to say that specifically.
He really will not, and he kind of avoided saying it today.
Before we move on to Arsenal, I just want to maybe offer something a bit more Total Soccer Show tacticky.
Sure.
So the point I was making about Azpilicueta being in the way of Christensen, do you remember when we did the Man United Chelsea game? We reviewed that and we talked about how Chelsea did a really good job of clustering all their centre-backs together and making it really hard.
Yeah.
I think in this game we saw the downside of that. When you cluster your centre-backs, you literally can clear it into the back of each other and create your own problems.
Yeah, and you can also be trying to cover too much ground and make up basically if you are Cesar Azpilicueta with the captain's armband on, maybe you're just a little uncertain, and so you're trying to make plays. Maybe that can cause problems.
Yep.
The other one that stood out for me was Rudiger, who once again did a little bit too handsy, a little bit too shovey, a little bit too physical.
Too handsy.
And it does feel like that's something that teams have identified, is that you can get him into that mindset and he'll start to step out too aggressively to try to mark people, leaving space in behind.
Diego Costa would have loved to play against him.
Oh boy.
I bet he won a lot of free kicks in practice.
I bet
so. Rudiger. Yeah.
In the week that they trained together. Yes. Yeah.
Should we move on to Arsenal?
Sure.
Okay. Thumbs down.
I've got lots of thumbs for this one.
To Arsenal Football Club for getting dunked on.
Okay.
In their 2-1 loss to Brighton and Hove Albion.
All right.
So Lewis Dunk scored the first goal from a corner kick. And if you watch this, it looks like the corner kick goes to the far post. Arsenal sort of stand still. Shane Duffy jumps, heads it back across, and Dunk scores. Which is kind of what happened, but there's also, as always, there's a little more to it than that.
Well, I agree. And I think what happened is that Brighton had a corner earlier in the game, earlier in the half. Yeah. And they kind of did the exact same thing they did. Arsenal did the zonal defense, and it worked fine.
You're talking about a corner previous to this?
Yes, and Arsenal put it out of bounds, but it was kind of static movement. Brighton kind of all charged the near post or the middle of the goal. For the second corner they had, which is the one they ended up scoring on, I think they had spotted, okay, they're doing the kind of static zonal defense. We're going to exploit that. And I have to give credit to Proper, who makes a little 3-yard run.
Surely we should be saying, I've got to give Proper credit.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Proper credit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because he makes a little 3-yard run just inside the box, not to try to get on the end of the ball, but to absolutely block off Chambers and Mustafi to some extent, because they're in that zone. They're the ones responsible for, I'm assuming, policing the back post.
Yeah.
So when they try to back up to win this ball, they can't because he's there, and that leaves...
He shuts the door on the zone, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Then Duffy's free to... I think he ends up challenging Cech, right?
He does.
Yeah.
But I think Cech then is coming through 3 bodies to try to get to that ball. That's always going to be a challenge. Duffy's there, can win that header, puts it back in.
Can I say, similar to the Chelsea thing of having too many centre-backs too close to each other and that causing the goal. I rewatched this several times because, I'm quite into the zonal marking, man-marking thing. I think the problem with Arsenal is that they have 7 people in the 6-yard box and then they're zonal marking, which means not man-to-man. It means each one takes a zone to mark. There's not that much space in the 6-yard box that you need 7 people to do it, right? You could spread that out much more, give each person a bit more room to attack. Because I watched Koscielny. He stands in the middle of the 6-yard box and you watch him just look right, look left, look right. And
he did that a lot in the game. But
but like as the ball's going back and forth, he ends up doing literally nothing because all the other zones are sort of covered by other people. So he's just useless at that point.
Well, theoretically covered.
But it's not even his fault. It's that he's been put in a spot where he's not authorised to do anything because the zones are like policed by other people.
I have heard some Arsenal fans say what I'm about to say, and I did not believe it.
Is it Wenger hat?
Well, no, that I believe. But I'm coming around to the idea that they do not practice set pieces, that they do not practice defend, that they basically say, go defend in a zone. I
think they obviously have a plan where you all get in the 6-yard box and defend in a zone.
I think that might be the plan, though, is what I'm saying. That routinely we see Arsenal either scored upon or have problems dealing with set pieces delivered into the box because they're in that zone and they line up strange, or the line is too deep, or the line is too high, or they're sitting, or they're standing, or they're reacting, and it doesn't feel like a thing that they ever truly learn from and work on.
Yeah.
And this was another example of them. Again, we talk about this all the time with zonal defending, that you've got to aggressively go meet that ball. You've got to get to your zone of influence, and you've got to attack that ball. You can't, we've said this before as well, you can't backpedal into the area where you're supposed to be, then move forward and attack the ball. That's not how it works.
Well, you can't just stand there and do an owl impression like Koscielny did.
I mean, yeah. Well, more on him in a minute. But it just feels like if you keep repeating the same mistakes, it points to you're not learning from those mistakes. You're not learning from them in practice, so you keep doing it. And that's exactly what Arsenal did. And then they made more foolish mistakes.
They certainly did. Was it Koscielny that gives the ball away for Brighton's second goal? Okay.
So he passes the ball. He's looking for Wilshere.
I'm assuming thumbs down on Koscielny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I said, down to Koscielny because he has the bad giveaway. He's looking for Wilshere in the middle of the field. But it's about maybe 2 yards too wide of Wilshere, so that I think Jack Wilshere, thinks, oh, this isn't for me, I'll let it go by. And so you see him sort of stand there and let it go, and then he's like, uh-oh, that's not good.
It's like when I get mail in my mailbox, and it's addressed to apartment 3, and I'm like, oh, that's 3 off, I'm not.
Yeah,
that's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, well, except then that doesn't lead to your team conceding a goal.
You're right.
If it did, that'd be weird. A striker just pops out of the mailbox. But in this situation, Koscielny plays that ball, and he's kind of in the left channel. Then he comes centrally, because he thinks, oh, there's going to be a counterattack. So he comes inside, and if he had stayed where he was, he stops Knockert from playing that ball in. But because he's tries to get into the middle of the field, not recognizing that there are 2 holding midfielders in front of him, he is now left space out wide. Then he hesitates.
Doesn't he fuse Kolasinac as well? Kolasinac ends up being sort of weirdly a temporary centre-back when Koscielny goes out, and you can see him he's just trying to figure it out on the fly, and he's not a good improv.
But Koscielny also doesn't even really go that hard. Even when he finally decides to go out wide, he still does that sort of half jog, half sprint, and then he does that little half jump to block it, and it's a lot of half measures that lead to a goal.
And this is one of those situations where Brighton fans will be saying, you've got to give Brighton credit, and you absolutely do, right? That cross from Gross is
perfect.
It is again, Beckhamish is the word I always like to use because it's floated and it's bending and it lands perfectly for Murray. But you only can do, he could probably do that cross in practice 100 times, not 100 times in a row, but many times out of 100, right? Yeah. But you normally, any game, you don't get the sort of half pressure, you get full pressure, and then you don't have time to play that David Beckham ball.
You don't.
Right?
And so you do give credit to Brighton because, again, anytime the team reacts and adjusts their approach to counter what the other team is doing or not doing, as the situation was today, they deserve credit. That said, I watched this whole game, and Brighton weren't amazing. They were very good. Don't get me wrong; they deserve to win. But it felt like when Arsenal scored that their lone goal, that it felt like okay, they can come back into this. They're getting chances, and they really were. Brighton were kind of stretched at times. They left space in the middle. They didn't do a very very good job of marking at times. Arsenal hit the post once, I believe.
They did. Koscielny hit the post.
Yeah. They had plenty of chances, and again, it just felt like this was an Arsenal team that just weren't in the mood for it.
So I think the stat I saw was they lost 4 in a row now.
Yep, first time since 2002.
They definitely lost to Manchester City twice in a row, right? So the Carabao Cup final, 3-0. The League game, 3-0 on Thursday. And I got in my head the idea that a one-off bad result is a one-off bad result, but when a team beats you 3-0 twice in a row, and it's not 2 legs of something, so there's no excuse. Each time was a fresh start. With your reserve keeper or your first-choice keeper, it kind of just means Manchester City are 3 goals better than Arsenal. right? Like,
I think so.
You've got like consistent data that this is the difference between these two teams. And I really took that as, Arsenal are just, there's no coming back this season.
No, I mean,
even though I said earlier maybe they're gonna climb the table again, it really felt like there's just a clear gap between them and the better teams.
It feels like there's definitely a gap. That's certainly true. But again, this is like the past few games. It has been the first time that I've ever been like, oh, they are just not playing for Wenger anymore. Like you could just see, like Mesut Ozil. Like this was the second or third straight game that I have just seen him really. We're trying not to curse, so I won't, but not care. He really did not give a care.
He had a good few strikes at goal.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah. But so often I saw him dribble into opponent and then throw his hands up in the air. He didn't aggressively try to win the ball. There was a couple different times where he like had the ball played to him and he just kind of stood there and waited for it to come. Then he didn't track back. It just felt like another sort of disinterested game from him in a way that I'm really surprised by, given that he has just renewed his contract. It doesn't really make any sense other than it feels like
some buyer's remorse.
Yeah, that could be.
Signer's remorse.
But it feels a little bit like a team who have that, like, here we go again mentality. That as soon as they get scored on inside the first 20, or I guess twice in the first 26 minutes, it just feels like, all right, well, this is it. Like, this is who we are now.
So all the Wenger out stuff was happening again.
Yep.
As I understand it, he has the contract through 2019.
I believe so.
But I don't know if there's like an option that has to be triggered in the summer for that to happen. So I think there's a chance that they just part ways this summer. And it feels more than ever like this is the year that happens.
It does.
I know I've said this before.
We have. The only thing would be that if Wenger is obsessed with the idea of, like, I'm not going out like this, I want to go out on top.
He has said today that I think I'm the man to fix this.
I think a lot of people would disagree.
So he's a little bit like, I'm going to say he's like Will Smith in I Am Legend. You know, he keeps saying, I can still fix this. I can still fix this. I think we're in that situation.
That movie is dumb. But yes.
I hope Wenger doesn't have an Alsatian, a German Shepherd.
That's good stuff, Daryl. That's good stuff. And also, way to know the Frenchness of it. My final thumb for this one is a thumbs down to the referee because he gave a yellow to Dale Stephens for a lovely slide tackle that should not have been a yellow card, but I think Wilshere fell over. He gave him a free kick.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
And then the one that, and this is where it could have been way worse for Arsenal, is that I absolutely believe that Kolasinac deserved a red. He deserved a second yellow. He did the shoulder barge. Wasn't what I did not think was trying to make a play at all on Charlotto.
I thought it was just clumsy.
I mean, that's fine. Maybe it wasn't malicious, but it's still reckless, and it is still out of control. And he still definitely knows he's not winning that ball, and so he puts the body into Charlotto, who, it's worth noting, had been physical, had already gotten a yellow card. And I say that not to victim blame, but to say that there's a decent chance that they were frustrated that he'd been physical, knocking people over, and he was like, well, I'm not going to win this ball, but I'm going to let him know I'm here. Shoulder into the face.
You know who else was good in this game?
Who's that?
Izquierdo. Did you see him? He seemed to be Brighton's constant
he is decent
outlet down the left wing. And it's one of those things when there's a player who's so fast and so smart, you just know you can knock it down that channel in a very old-fashioned English kind of way.
Yep.
But then you've got this winger who will get on the end of it and burn whoever's in front of him.
There we go.
Yeah.
Lovely across the board, except for Charlotto, who I think they said did lose consciousness.
Oh, is he okay now?
I believe he is.
Okay.
I think he has regained consciousness, obviously.
That's good.
But yeah.
That is good.
Yep.
Okay, a bit more Premier League to talk about.
Yeah, I've got several parts of the Premier League to talk about.
But first, today's show is sponsored by SeatGeek. Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated and confusing. Emphasis on the can, because if you use SeatGeek, it is very easy. With just 2 taps of your phone, you can buy and sell tickets to live events.
You sure can. Oftentimes, I say concerts and venues that I would like to go see or be in. But Daryl Grove, you have a friend who's used SeatGeek recently.
Oh, yes. So my friend Hugh, who sometimes listens to the Total Soccer Show, not sure if he'll catch this or not.
Aston Villa's terrible.
I told him, they're actually doing okay right now.
I know, I'm just trying to, see if he listens.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
I told him that, so he's coming to DC and then down to Richmond in a week or so. I told him that you can get $20 off I really did tell him, you get $20 off to events if you use this. He was going to see the Washington Wizards when he's in DC because he wants to see an American sporting event. We keep saying this, right? You get $20 off a sporting event, and I forget that is an amazing deal. Yeah. When I told him, he was like, "Are you sure? Really? It costs $20 less than it should cost." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's."
I feel like you should have oversold that and been like, "Well, because I made that happen.
Yeah.
You're welcome."
I should take credit for it, right?
You absolutely should. I mean, literally, yes, you should.
But I'm just saying I forget how good of a deal it is. And it worked. Obviously, he used the discount code, which we'll tell you in a second. You can probably guess what it is if you're a regular listener. He got $20 off tickets to see the Washington Wizards versus the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You guys, yes. Not the Minnesota Trailblazers, which is what Daryl Grove first said. The thing I hadn't ever thought about with SeatGeek, though, is so often we get questions either from listeners or from friends, Jonathan Tolbert, asking, how do you buy tickets to Premier League games or Championship games? How do you make sure that you can go see a game when you're visiting England? And it is kind of amazing that SeatGeek, if you're
yes, because he had the exact opposite question about the NBA, because he wanted to come to America, see some classic American sport. He wanted to see the NBA, so I told him, here's how you find tickets.
And that's pretty cool that you can just with a couple clicks be like, all right, well, I got tickets.
Yep,
it makes it very easy, because that is not, as far as I understand, how it works with the Premier League.
And little tip, it was cheaper than going through the official NBA site.
Ooh,
just saying.
Shots fired, NBA. Shots fired.
Just saying.
So if our listeners would like to get $20 off themselves, Daryl Grove, what can they do?
You got to be friends with me.
That's number one.
Or you can do that as well, but you can also download...
All of our listeners are friends with Daryl.
That is true. You can download the SeatGeek app.
Except for you.
And you can enter the promo code, maybe not after this ad, enter the promo code TSS today. It's promo code TSS, and you really do get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
So thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's episode of the Total Soccer Show. More thumbs up and down, Daryl Grove?
Yeah, where shall we go? How about thumbs up to the person that embedded the GPS system in all the Spurs players' heads?
Okay.
So I think I've talked about this before, but it seems like every Spurs goal, they're just able to locate each other at the far post anytime they feel like it. I'm thinking specifically, this is Spurs 2-0. I've forgotten who they played. Spurs 2-0 win over Huddersfield. The second goal, Harry Kane is way out on the right wing, just sees Son streaming down the left and just looks up one time, curls it behind the Huddersfield defence onto Son, who heads it past the goalkeeper.
And it's a great header because it's
so many of those goals for Spurs, right? Where it's just they're quite far away, but they land it right in front of each other.
But it's still, you're absolutely right, and it's a great ball, but it's still, it's one of those great headers because it's that cushioned header where he gets to it, but it's not, diving, laying out to meet it. It sort of is I've overrun this one a little bit, and he has to, lean back and doesn't really put any force behind it.
Yeah.
But the force of the cross puts that ball in the back of the net.
And whip.
Yes.
Whip on it, yeah.
I was going to give a thumbs up to Son for doing it himself, because in the first, 10 minutes, it's been a recurring theme for them that Tottenham go down that left side, Son attacks, tries to play the ball into the middle, tries to find somebody. In this case, just barely missed Harry Kane twice in the opening 10 or 15, and then was you know what, never mind, I'll just do it myself. Scores a lovely goal for the opening drive, then gets the second for the brace.
Good through ball from Dele Alli for Son on that goal. And also, the goal I was just talking about starts with a Dele Alli tackle. And I keep thinking I keep hearing that Dele Alli is out of form, but when you watch, he's always doing these little things where he's annoying people, winning balls back, or playing through balls. He's always active, and that's what I like about Ali.
He feels like the type of player that you never ever want to play against, but always want on your team.
Yes, I would say exactly that.
All right.
And I'll say it a lot this summer.
that works. I'm going to say thumbs up to Oxlade-Chamberlain for once again showing he deserves to play centrally.
Go on the Ox!
Liverpool's 2-0 win over Newcastle. A somewhat welcome homecoming for Rafa Benitez, but Oxlade-Chamberlain sets up the first goal, Salah's opener. He basically gets the ball back. I think he has a bad pass, but gets the ball back, really drives at the Newcastle defense, comes inside, and the commentator sort of started saying it was a goal about 3 seconds before Salah actually shot, just because it had all the familiar symptoms.
Had the feeling,
that he was and it is in the goal. There we go.
So
okay.
My memory of this goal is that Newcastle defenders sort of getting ready to defend an Oxlade-Chamberlain shot.
Yep.
And he waits just long enough to then poke it a little bit wider to Mohamed Salah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He pulls I forget which defender it was, but pulls them inside because they expect that shot's coming, and it just leaves acres of space out wide-ish for Salah.
DeAndre Yedlin, not to blame.
He was not. He was just sort of watching from the other channel. Yeah.
Can I then say, thumbs up to Sadio Mane's Firmino impression, but also his double act with Firmino.
Okay.
So have you seen the celebration that we've been talking about?
The Matador?
There's the karate kick one, where Firmino will do the karate kick, and you'll see Sane doing it behind him laughing. And you'll also see Sane sometimes score and do a deliberately poor karate kick.
I hope so, because wasn't it always that it's the half impression of the other ones?
Yeah, it's a sort of making it look sillier than it is. I mean, if you say anything about Sadio Mane, it's that he's in very good control of his legs, right?
Yeah.
So if he wanted to do a good karate kick, I'm sure he could.
Yeah.
So after he scores the second goal in this 2-0 win, he does the mocking matador. You know, Firmino sometimes does the matador where it's they're holding I actually don't know what I have, a cape, I guess, for the ball to charge out. And then you take it out of the way at the last second. That's what Firmino's doing in his matador celebration. Have you only just realised this?
You've got me wondering now, is it the cape? Do they have a red cape? Is it red lining with a black cape, and then they just show the red of the bull, but they can turn it black if they need to?
Either way, I think it's a cape, right?
I have never attended a bullfight, nor do I think I want to. So
no, thank you.
I don't know these things.
I'm good.
But I do love the movie The Matador, and everyone should watch that.
So Mane does, is Pierce Brosnan? Mane does the fake matador as his celebration, and then turns up points at Firmino. And, we love that sort of teammatey stuff
on
the Total Soccer Show. But on the field. So there is a great moment between Firmino and Mane for this goal, right? So it's got a lot of attention because it's a multiple pass goal. Like Liverpool move it through the middle with a lot of passes. But the great thing that happened is as Firmino runs at the Newcastle central defenders, then starts dribbling sort of diagonally left from Firmino's perspective, drags the centre-backs just over enough because they're starting to go over to cover him. Then Mane very cleverly realises there's suddenly a gap opened up, darts into that gap, and then Firmino can play him into that gap. So it's that thing of dragging the centre-backs out of position, then exploiting it, then you can do the matador.
And you can. That's great. And also, I think if you're a coach of like young teenage players, this is a very good team to use as an example of just shoot the ball. Because I think so often, like obviously Liverpool are very, very good, don't get me wrong, but I think so often people just wait and try to find the perfect opportunity to shoot, myself very much included. And in this situation,
you love to dribble around the keeper if possible.
I love to not have to worry about it. But just Mane takes the ball. He's got two, like a defender on either side. He's falling over as he hits it, and he still puts it in. Like he doesn't wait and try to cut back and find somebody else. It's just shoot the ball, see what happens. Within reason.
2-0 Liverpool. 2-0 Liverpool.
I've got more thumbs.
What else you got then? What else you got? That's me done for the Premier League. So what else did you see?
Two quick things. I've got from Burnley's 2-1 win over at Everton. I gave thumbs.
Sorry, I did see this.
I already gave the thumbs down to the referee. I'm giving thumbs up to referee Chris Kavanagh for not messing about. Straight red to Ashley Williams. I think it was either corner or free kick comes in, and he just blows it dead, red card. And it's absolutely deserved. You can see what happens. Williams gets a little bit frustrated and then just throws that elbow back.
He elbows the wrong person, doesn't he?
He does.
There's someone,
yes.
I can't remember who the two Burnley players are, but someone taps him in the face, and then he takes it out on the guy that he's kind of jostling with, right?
Yeah. But I liked it because it's a thing that I think people on...
I heard New England Revolution want to sign him.
That could be.
That's a good joke.
That's a good joke. You did it. Well done. But it was a thing that I think people on Reddit were pointing out is that sometimes referees in the Premier League will wait maybe just a couple seconds until that camera cuts to them. And I did notice it.
Oh, so they can be on TV giving the red card?
I noticed it only after reading that in the City game when Michael Oliver was the referee. And he went to blow the final whistle and he did one long blast. And then there was a good 2 Mississippi, and then he did the other 2 to signify the end of the game. And it felt very much like, I'm blasting once, so you can cut to me so that we can get a nice... And I just appreciated that Chris Kavanagh ran in, red card, and then all he said was, off. That was it. And then nobody really protested. Williams kind of did, and then just walked away, and that was it. And I feel like that's the way to handle it. It's just like, nope, done, get off.
Yeah.
You know what you did. You're out of here. So thumbs up for that, and then thumbs up to Key for killing worms.
Excuse me.
Key in Swansea's 4-1 win over West Ham.
Oh, yes.
I've decided this might be my favorite type of goal. It is a shot from about 25 yards out that never leaves the ground. It's a worm burner.
First goal, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a worm burner, man, from 25 yards out, but it's the one that it's hit with pace, never leaves the ground, and just ends up in the net. It's just such a pretty goal, and I don't know why, but I love it, and I love that goal.
It's a tough technique, right? To hit it fast and hard without leaving the floor. It's almost impossible. You've got to be very talented to do it. I would say Worms would give it a thumbs down if they had thumbs.
Absolutely they would. I would say, though, that did lead to, for the rest of the game, anytime he was within about 40 yards of the goal, there were fans screaming, shoot.
Oh, but he wasn't trying.
No, he was not, but the fans wanted him to. That's all I have from the Premier League.
That's all you have for the Premier League. Okay, shall we go across an ocean then?
Sure. Wait, are you going to the North American games? Because I have one more from Europe.
I'm going to go south across the channel
and
into continental Europe,
as
they call it. I'm going to start with thumbs up for the return of Weston McKennie.
Did you briefly think that the English Channel was an ocean?
Let's not talk about it. Thumbs up. It's the sea. It's the sea.
Sure, okay.
Thumbs up for the return of Weston McKennie. He played the final 10 minutes of Schalke's 1-0 win over Hertha Berlin.
You're like one of the early Vikings who doesn't think that there's anything on the other side. But yes.
I was one of the guys telling Ragnar, no, don't go that
way.
Go
the other way.
You'll fall off the edge.
I mean, obviously. Oh, man. But... great shout. Yes. Really good to see Weston McKennie back.
Yes. He came off the bench the final 10 minutes. Schalke beat Hertha 1-0. Weston
all because
McKennie
he was there.
Is back all because he was there. That was one of my tweets suggested that once. I got in a lot of trouble. So anyway, it's March 4th as we record this. The friendly, the US-Paraguay friendly, the overpriced friendly, is March 27th.
The official title.
He is now it's looking possible that he could be back, right? I think he's back sooner than we expected, which means he could be back for that game.
He could be. And I would like to see him called in.
Yes.
I know I'm not alone in that one, Daryl. I know you often don't want to see Weston McKennie included, but I feel like he should be.
I'm happy to keep losing that battle. So another American in Germany having a good time. Do you know about this? Thumbs up to Aaron Johansson. Werder Bremen were 2-0 down at halftime.
Okay.
Werder Bremen said,
No, I did not know about this.
Okay, Werder Bremen said, let's bring Aaron Johansson off the bench. Werder Bremen score one.
All right.
Then in the 78th minute, Aaron Johansson scores the equaliser.
American hero.
It's like just outside the 6-yard box, and he very confidently hammers it top right corner.
All right.
Aaron Johansson scored the equaliser. That's the second time in a row he's come off the bench. He didn't get the credit. Remember last week he didn't get the credit. It went down as an own goal. This week he absolutely gets it. So Aaron Johansson is doing things for Werder Bremen. He's another one. Literally get him on that plane March 27th.
I would agree, and I would say compared to some of his counterparts, American strikers playing in the Bundesliga 2, I'd say Aaron Johansson might be the one I would most like to see called in.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now he suddenly seems to be in form, even if not for 90 minutes at a time.
And Christian Pulisic played 2 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he's suddenly, so now Royce and Schürrle are both healthy. Götze's around as well. Suddenly he's sort of little down the pecking order.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. He's only 19.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
In France,
Yes.
we had the professional debut of one Timothy Weah coming off the bench for Paris Saint-Germain.
We did indeed. Zach Betcher sent us a scouting
Oh,
report
he
as
did?
well,
Okay.
which basically just said, yes, he made his debut in a 2-0 win away at Troyes.
Yes.
Or Troy. Or Troy.
Don't know, Troyes?
No,
No,
why
that's
not?
probably not true.
Yeah, whatever.
But, yeah, but
We did our best.
This is faster than expected.
I mean, it is. It's worth noting that, Cavani, Neymar, and Mbappe are all injured. We have
but
a
apart
report.
from that, everyone was available.
Yes, and then also it's a PSG team that kind of can't spend money, so they kind of have to offload players, which is why they didn't really try to do much more in the January window aside from selling people.
But do you remember Timothy Weah after the World Cup saying, I'm going to be with the PSG team next year and my goal is to make the first team?
And
we were kind of like,
made a face.
all right,
Yes.
Timothy, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But here he is coming off the bench for the last 10 minutes, putting in a great cross that he landed on Thiago Motta's head. It seemed to me that he played, I want to say left wing. I didn't check the formation, but he seemed to operate mostly down the left. He also had a breakaway that he ended up, he looked across to see, it looked like he was going to square it and he just took it and went straight at the keeper. It ended up being saved, but I like the confidence of 18-year-old, I believe,
You got
Timothy Weah.
I mean, and it makes me feel happy because it's a justified selection. It's not,
Yes.
hey, let's just throw this kid in. Let's throw in a bunch of kids. Let's see what happens. He's been playing his way into the ranks. He gets the new contract. He proves that he belongs. He gets minutes, and it's exciting.
And for people who don't know, Timothy Weah is a US youth international. I know most people will know that. There's going to be someone listening who's like, why are we talking about this kid? He's an American youth international.
He is. Not to bring up the name that nobody wants to talk about, but I feel like Jonathan Gonzalez is the new Giuseppe Rossi, in that now, as soon as Weah made this debut, I saw so many people be like, cap time now. Someone's going to try to get him. Someone's going to try to steal him. Oh no, we're going to lose him. France is going to take him, or somebody else is going to take him. It's just like, it's okay. We're good. He's going to stay.
I hope so. I mean, I'm usually the one that's saying, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And then Gonzalez has made me jumpy.
I mean,
he really has. I will say this. People seem worried because his father, George Weah, was elected president of Liberia. That somehow that means Timothy Weah is going to decide to play his international football for Liberia instead. I don't think that's going to happen at all. That is not a thing you should be worried about.
Nor do I. Nor am I worried that he's going to play for Jamaica. I think the concern is maybe France. Look at him and think.
But he'd have to suddenly get, if he suddenly starts lighting up Ligue 1, he somehow finishes top scorer in Ligue 1 in the next few months.
I don't know. I don't think France have any goal scorers. So, wait, no, they have tons. They have tons. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll be okay. What else you got? Anything else in Europe?
Yeah, I've got Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Barcelona win 1-0. Leo Messi scores his 600th goal.
He can put him under the wall. He can put him over the wall.
I watched this so many times to try to figure out what he does, because I've never fully been able to figure out how players get that ball up and down so fast. And he does it. I think it said he doesn't follow through, but he still brings his left shooting foot across just a little bit to put the spin, but a little bit of the knuckle on it. But man,
spin and knuckle.
It is inch perfect, and it was amazing.
Are we sort of not underrating, but we don't talk enough about Leo Messi, his accuracy from free kicks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a different player maybe who's just a midfielder that doesn't do much else. Like maybe, not to disrespect him, but Hakan Çalhanoğlu, when he used to be scoring all those free kicks.
Yeah.
But the rest of his game wasn't as impressive as, say, Leo Messi's. Yeah. So we talk about his free kicks, right? But if Leo Messi, if his main thing was free kicks, we'd be drooling about his free kicks every week.
You're not wrong. It's just because he also then has 14,000 slaloming runs every single game.
And he's an elite finisher in the 6-yard box and this and that. Yeah.
Oh man, the cut inside shot. That's one of my favorite trademark Messi goals. I will say thumbs down. I did not watch this whole game. I watched the extended highlights.
Yeah.
I'm going to say thumbs down to Atletico Madrid. They're their only attacking highlight came in the 86th minute, and it was Diego Costa being offside. That was not good. And I'm also going to say, this might be a bit more controversial. I'm going to say thumbs up to Atletico Madrid for giving us a good run, because I do feel like maybe the time of the Atletico we know might be coming to a close. So you have all the reports that Antoine Griezmann is going to be gone, that Barcelona have already had the offer. I know that they've rejected it. Yeah, Barcelona have said, I think 100 million, that's been reported. The owners of Atletico have said, no, that's not happening, or the directors have said, no, it's definitely not happening. But it feels like it's going to happen.
But doesn't the current Atletico Madrid really exist as a sort of projection of Diego Simeone's personality?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Because they sold 5 players in January. They basically are in a position where they owe, I think, 180 million. They have to repay it. It's tax debt. They owe taxes, basically. So they're slowly paying that down, but they have to sell people to make it happen. And I just feel like there's a chance that we see Antonio Conte get the sack, or maybe walk away from Chelsea at the end of the season, and maybe this is when Diego Simeone looks around and thinks,
how about job swap?
I'm losing people. Maybe I'm going to go to Chelsea.
Wouldn't you like to see, instead of managers getting fired or walking away, if you could just negotiate a swap where everybody's happy?
I wonder if Antonio Conte is happy with that. I'm guessing he's not.
He didn't look particularly happy.
He certainly did not.
Chelsea in the rain with like London water dripping off his baseball cap.
It's a good point.
Or was this at Manchester? I can't remember if it was at Manchester or at Chelsea.
It was at Manchester, but but still.
Northern water.
Even worse, even colder.
Baseball cap.
It's a good point. He might not hate Madrid right now. That might be slightly more palatable. But I could be totally wrong. I can't claim to know like a ton about the inner workings of Atletico Madrid. Mm-hmm. You're right that they are kind of a machine for bringing in 20-year-old, 21, 22-year-old players. But just little things like the fact that they sold Carrasco to China for 30 million, which doesn't seem like enough, number one, for a 24-year-old. But number two, it's just sort of disappointing to see this guy that we both have watched, really enjoyed, really appreciated everything he brought in.
That went under the radar, right? Yep. And I wonder how much is that Carrasco's decision of just like, hey, let me go become a super millionaire, and how much it was Atletico didn't want him, which would be a weird decision.
It would. Think. Well, he's maybe regretting that decision since they lost 8-0 on his debut.
No way.
Yeah. And there's a thing doing the rounds of like his heat map, and it was all just he was doing the kickoff, and it was like bright red right in midfield. Carrasco. Yeah, it was not great. It was not great for him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So I could be totally wrong, but it just feels like maybe we see Diego Simeone finally leave, we see Antoine Griezmann leave, and it is very much a retooling summer for Atleti.
Okay. Nothing else from the Europe or the UK?
Nothing else from the Europe or the UK.
All right, so before we actually cross the ocean, I was trying to confirm this is an ocean, right?
It is.
It's not just a large channel.
Correct. I mean, you know, call it what you want.
And talk American things. Mm-hmm. Today's show is sponsored by RX Bar. RX Bar is a whole food protein bar. That means it's made with 100% whole ingredients, and they're transparent about what is in their bars. There are always 3 egg whites, 2 dates, 6 almonds, and no BS.
And they are a good example to me of why you should never, ever eat healthy.
Excuse me?
Because it ruins it, Daryl. Because now I've gone to like I've been like in between coaching sessions or like before a game, before a practice, I'll like run to get a protein bar and I just look at it and read the ingredients and I'm like, you're not an RX bar. You have lots of sugar and lots of chemicals that I don't understand. And suddenly I feel like you're just a candy bar. You seem like a candy bar.
And how do you get syrup from corn anyway?
Exactly.
Well, Taylor, sitting here...
I mean, to be fair, how do you get milk from almonds? But you know.
Apparently almond milk is mostly water.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the fat from almonds, right? We don't need to go down this road. But also, I love almond milk. Just saying.
Sitting on our desk, is this our desk or our recording table?
Sure.
Sitting on the table,
it's a channel.
The TSS table, we have a box of RX bars.
We do.
They sent us 12 bars. Mm-hmm. I counted, there are 6 flavors in here.
Yep.
Which one do you want to take? I'm going to let you take one to coaching. How about that?
What have we got over there?
We have got, hang on, let's take a look. We've got blueberry.
I had figured.
We've got peanut butter chocolate. Wish I hadn't told you about that one.
I feel like I can guess some of these. That's coconut chocolate?
Yes, because it's white.
I'm going by the labels here. That is chocolate sea salt?
That is correct.
All right. Peanut butter.
Actually, they're well coloured, right? Mm-hmm. It makes you
they very aware.
Oh, this one might be
berry.
Hard. Mixed berry.
Mixed berry, of course. How could I forget?
Which one are you going to take to...
I think I always go coconut. I think I'd go chocolate coconut.
Mm-hmm. All right.
If for no other reason, because I would like to eat it and then like look at an Almond Joy and just be like, yeah, right.
All right, I'm going to pass that. I'm going to pass that across the table to you. Like I've made myself the keeper of RX bars here.
And this is where I say, listeners, don't worry. I promise you, I'm not going to eat an RX bar on air because while they are delicious, it would probably make you to stop listening to the podcast right away.
Oh yes.
I once listened to a podcast where somebody ate a Milky Way on air, and that was it for me. I literally never listened to it again. Why? I don't know. It's like after Halloween and they had leftover candy.
But did they know this will be gross, it'll be funny if I do this? Or did they just think, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat this in the middle of my podcast?
I think he did not care, I think is what it came down to. He was like, whatever, you can deal with it.
You'll have to tell me afterwards who that podcast is so I can
sure will.
delete them from... I can't delete them if I don't. I can't unsubscribe with that.
Yeah, no.
Can you double unsubscribe?
You should subscribe and then out of spite, unsubscribe. There you go.
Well, if our listeners would like to get some RX bars and get a nice discount, you can go to rxbar.com/soccer. You get 25% off your first order at rxbar.com/soccer, and then also enter the promo code soccer. Yep. They make you work hard for it by doing the two things because the ingredients are so healthy, it's worth it.
I'm excited to eat my coconut chocolate bar, not on air.
I'm glad you chose that one because I do not like the taste of coconut.
I know, because you're a monster.
I'm looking at chocolate sea salt over here.
Have at it. Have at it, my friend.
Okay. To the United States.
We go.
We got some US women's national team. We got some Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer is back. Hence the Audi Player Index reference at the top of the show. Should we start with MLS?
Sure.
Okay. So I decided this year I'm watching MLS in a very #play your kids kind of way.
Yep.
I wanted to watch the games that had the most young Americans in them.
Yep. You poor man. It's not for that. No, that's a great goal. I'm just fully aware of the one game that you watched the entire game
of. Yeah, so thumbs down to Orlando City Soccer Club versus District of Columbia United for making the Play Your Kids movement look bad.
Yeah.
So, because they did it, but also there's a narrative here that is not good, right? And it also kind of informs me on why Major League Soccer teams do not #play your kids. I don't think I've explained this to you off air, so bear with me on air. This game finished 1-1, right? Orlando started two rookies out of college, Cam Lindley in central midfield and Chris Muller essentially at forward. Him and Justin Merriman played forward. Chris Durkin DC United... spoiler alert, had Chris Durkin on the bench and brought him off. Here's how the game went. Orlando were losing when they had Lindley and Muller on the field. It's Lindley who gave away the free kick that Yamil Assad scored from. So the goal was kind of his fault. Muller
there were a lot of people who were at fault for that one.
Muller had a couple of chances that he missed for Orlando. They pull him off. They substitute him for Pino, right? Pino comes on for Orlando. To see out the game, because it's 1-0 with like 20 minutes to go, and to give him his debut, DC bring Chris Durkin on the field. With that combination of players, Pino scores when Chris Muller couldn't, and Chris Durkin was somewhat involved in Orlando scoring the goal. So essentially the inexperience of those players, I think, sort of told, and you got a feeling of why coaches are more likely to stick with their more experienced players.
Yeah. I mean, I think a couple things here. The first thing would be that Orlando, without a lot of starters for this game, so I think ideally they would not have started him. They would have given him a little bit more time to gel.
Obviously, Muller.
Yeah. Had a very strong preseason, scored some goals in preseason. Again, no footage of it and no lineups released, but we know he scored a few.
Yeah.
Looked very impressive. But you have to believe that if they had their full-strength squad, that he would have been like an 80th minute substitute. Yeah. And so instead to put it all on him right away, I'm just saying
that the general narrative of Play Your Kids took a beating in this game, which was also kind of an ugly game of soccer to boot.
So let's talk about Chris Durkin then, because this is one that I'm not sure I agree with you on, in the sense that he made a mistake for sure, but so too did about 4 other players.
All right, so I watched this game, right? Part of the reason that Chris Durkin was brought on was to strengthen the central midfield and stop Justin Merrim raising hell through the middle. Justin Merrim was just running at DC, and he looked the best player on the field by like a factor of 100. Yep. His Audi player index is 1 billion, right? He was just dribbling at DC.
Again,
all day.
That could be good or could be bad. I still don't understand.
It's out of 1 trillion. They couldn't stop him, right? So Durkin is in there, and part of his job is to stop Justin Merrim. In the 93rd minute or so, Durkin goes after Merrim way too aggressively in what I would call zone 14. This is my argument. He goes after him too aggressively, and Merrim uses that inexperience to be able to essentially turn, get away from him, and slip Jonathan Spector in. It's Spector that then squares it for Pino, who again had replaced Chris Muller, to score the equaliser.
Yep.
So Durkin's inexperience and over-eagerness to make a tackle, I think, is a big part of this goal.
I think you're not wrong in the sense that he should have just like showed Merrim one way, kept him back to goal, wouldn't have been a problem. I think it's a weird combination of he's overly aggressive but not aggressive enough. And that he steps and tries to win, but as soon as he feels like he's losing it, I think he backs off a little bit more than he should, and he gives Merrim just a bit more time to play that ball in.
And it's a good illustration of someone like Justin Merrim, who he plays international soccer for Iraq, right? He's Chaldean, which is a very interesting person. He so I know some Chaldeans from Dearborn. I'm really interested in that, like, kind of
I got love for Chaldeans.
Yeah.
They were very good to us when we were in Iraq.
But Justin Merrim was never selected or really considered for the U.S. men's national team, right? He was born in Michigan. So he's one of those players who's not even, like, elite American, but he absolutely, like, had way more experience and skill than this sort of guy that we're sort of really excited about. I mean, we're huge fans of Chris Durkin, right? And it was just an illustration of what experience can do for you versus inexperience in this specific situation.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, but I do think that this is an example, like, there's been a few of these where if this weren't Chris Durkin, you probably would not have noticed this. That's what I would say.
And I wouldn't be saying the defensive midfielder's to blame. No, you're right.
And I would say that because...
But this is me watching MLS this year. This is how I'm watching it. I'm overly focusing on American
But
kids.
you're overly focusing on the guy who let a player turn maybe a little bit too easily, maybe a little bit recklessly. But also, like, there's a reason why Jonathan Spector was wide open, and it's because Ulysses Segura... Segura just stands there. Segura does not move.
Oh, so a more experienced player is equally to blame.
Yes, and let Spector run by. And then, I forget who it was who basically, it was Sarvas and Madden. No, sorry, that's a different note. But it's basically Briant doesn't step. He's tracking Pino.
It's not Sarvas, he's gone.
More on that in a second. But it was Briant does not track Pino all the way. He's with him, and then he basically just lets Pino dip out at the last second, get a little bit of space, and that's why he's able to score. So it felt like there were two DC United players that switched off, and it was Durkin who was like trying to make a play happen. And I would rather be a little bit overly aggressive. That's a thing that you can kind of work on rather than, I'm just going to stand here. And the reason why Segura stood out to me is because I'm saying thumbs down to DC United penalty takers on opening day. Because last season against Sporting KC, Marcelo Sarvas missed a penty in the opening game.
Right? Yes.
And in this game, we had Darren Maddox miss a penalty.
We did.
And the reason why I noticed Segura standing still for the equalizer for Orlando is because he was the DC United player closest to the ball after it was saved, and he kind of jogged in and then stopped and then reacted once it was saved. And if he continued that run, he scores. So I just remember that standing out as like, he didn't really react, he kind of stood there. And then when they allowed the goal, he didn't really react, he kind of stood there.
All right, final word on Chris Durkin, because he's a very important player to us, right? Because we're big fans of him for the U17 national team, because we watched him play for the Kickers, because he's a local guy, right? He's from the Richmond area. Just want to be very clear that we are huge supporters of him, and the little criticism is just more sort of, I wanted him to super succeed. I wanted Durkin to come in and run this game. And it's just a reminder that 18-year-olds can't always do that in Major League Soccer. We also got a scouting report on Chris Durkin from Bill Park. Literally, this email came in 3 minutes before we hit record, so this really snuck in under the wire. So Bill Park let us know that Durkin made his MLS debut, came in the 73rd minute. Also, a quote from Durkin after the game. Durkin said, "It was a dream of mine to make my professional debut. I worked really hard in pre-season to prove to the coaches that I want to be on the field. This was a great milestone in my career, and I can only go up from here. I'm looking forward to the journey." All right, so standard stuff, but a reminder, an absolute reminder that it was a big achievement just to get on the field.
Can I just say this? I know what he means, but this is where young players need media training, because
I can only go up from here.
Shots fired at the Richmond Kickers, because this was not his professional debut. He has played professional soccer before.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's what he definitely said. Really hard. He said it's my professional debut. Whoops.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So not ideal, but I will say this. DC United fans, we sometimes make additional specific predictions after a couple games. I'm making one right now. Yamil Assad is going to score the first goal at the new DC United Stadium.
Why do you say that?
Because he scored, I believe, the first goal in Atlanta United's history. He scored the season opener for DC United. I feel like he is going to score that first goal at Audi Field.
And he wasn't even trying to score this goal.
He was not.
It was a cross, right?
I think it was Darren Maddox who the commentators thought scored it, and he just ran across and pointed at Assad the whole way, because it was basically just a free kick served in.
Thumbs up to Darren Maddox.
That'll work.
For that. Okay, so I've got like a two-parter here.
Sure.
So thumbs down to the Orlando DC game for doing damage to the Play Your Kids movement. But thumbs up to Jim Curtin and the Philadelphia Union for rescuing it.
Let's talk about it.
So, Philadelphia Union, they played New England Revolution. They won 2-0. Jim Curtin started Austin Trusty, 19-year-old, at centre-back. I watched big chunks of this game. Trusty was excellent. He covers ground really quickly. He's very aggressive, but in that smart way, where you interpret aggressive as just getting to the ball first and not taking any nonsense from anyone. And then he looked very, very confident on the ball. He looked a very mature, experienced centre-back. He is 19. He's played 1 year in USL. This was Chris Turkin would call it Trusty's professional debut.
Yeah.
It was his Major League Soccer debut. And then thumbs up to attacking midfielder Anthony Fontana. 18 years old, homegrown player, started for the Philly Union, scores the opening goal.
And it is one of my favorite aspects of the young players getting minutes, because when you look at the field and you think, which one is the teenager? Oh, the short one. Got it. Cool. Perfect. That's him. He's the one who looks like he's 18. Cool.
But also the lively one, who was really difficult to take the ball off of. He had that element of, what's a weird player? Do you remember a young Jack Wilshere was quite hard to take the ball off of? He would kind of dribble and you would try to step and he'd cleverly move out the way. It's probably
I just
a bad
assumed
example.
He was always injured, so.
Probably a bad example to use. But also he was another one who was really smart about his movement. So I think I sent you the video of this goal and said, please watch this. Tell me if I'm just being too praising of this young player. The finish is not much to write home about, right? He's kind of, you could say he's just in the right place at the right time, but the way he gets there is incredible.
And I would disagree with that even, because he puts himself in that position. This is the reverse of, I probably would not have noticed this if we weren't watching for the Play Your Kids.
Yeah.
And it is, in the lead up to this goal, it is a lot of the stuff that we praise from Luis Suarez and the strikers of that ilk, who are constantly moving, constantly just making sure they're never too close to anybody, always adjusting, always shifting. And he ends up, he basically holds his run, then he gets in there, then when he recognizes the ball isn't going to come when he thinks it is, he backs up a little bit and he's able to get in a space. It is not surprising to me that he is wide open to put that ball in when nobody else is. It's because he has adjusted constantly and changed his footwork and changed his positioning. It's an excellent bit of work from him.
Here's the thing as well. Philadelphia Union, a day or two before the start of MLS, signed Borek Docal, or maybe Docal. He is a Czech designated player who plays the exact same position as Anthony Fontana.
Yeah.
He absolutely needed a big game to sort of make sure he grabs that starting spot with both hands. He is now that much harder to remove from this starting lineup.
Does he have DP after his name?
He does not. He has HGP,
removed,
which makes him more important to me.
You don't sign a DP to sit behind a homegrown player. You go ahead and flip that one around. Maybe he'll get some minutes. I'm with you, but I feel like it's going to end up being the way we expect it to go.
Okay. Let me have some optimism.
Right.
So just for this weekend, thumbs up to Jim Curtin for playing your kids. Do you know who was in goal for New England Revolution?
Cody Gropper?
Matt Turner.
Ooh,
Matt
really?
Turner of Richmond Kickers. He was our sort of lone saviour, lone star multiple times last year. Finally made his MLS debut for the New England Revolution. And it wasn't his fault that both his centre-backs got sent off in front of him.
That's not good. That's not great for him. But I do want you to be happy with homegrown players.
Please do.
So let's maybe talk about Reggie Cannon.
Ooh, Caleb Rockwell. I thought we were friends. And
yet here we are.
Well, I've actually got thumbs up to Oscar Pereira for sticking with Reggie Cannon.
All right.
So
that's a way to sell it.
Did you listen to the when Travis and I did our draft of 2 MLS youngsters starting 11s?
I listened to the part where you drafted Reggie Cannon.
Did you hear what I said about Reggie Cannon, which is that with any young fullback, you sort of draft them for what you see going forward and the promise of the long term that they'll learn how to defend and that young fullbacks are going to make mistakes, especially positional mistakes. Reggie Cannon did exactly that in Dallas's 1-1 draw with Real Salt Lake. He kind of got victimized by, Rusnak playing the ball to Joel Platter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 2 things.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm halfway through that episode. I turned it off with about 10 minutes before I arrived at my game today because I love you and Travis. You are not good motivation to go play a soccer game. I need a little bit louder, a little bit angrier music.
Louder and angrier?
That's what I went with.
Oh, I see.
Well, you guys aren't music, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, Rage Against the Machine got the job done. But I'm with you as well in this one.
You want us to sing Wake Up on next week's show?
Yes, I would kind of like that. Or the other one, but that would have to have a...
Play your kids, I won't do what you tell me.
Yeah, that would be the one. You just got to censor it a little bit. But I think you're absolutely right here that Reggie Cannon, and we did get a scouting report on him as well. We can read that one in just a second. But it's good to see him in there, but it's absolutely that sort of like, oh, you're young and you don't quite know the way you're supposed to be shaped and how you're supposed to be positioned.
So I sent this to you, and I sent you a video and said, he looks wrong, something's wrong, and I couldn't tell what it was. And I think you texted me back and said, essentially, he's backwards. He's the wrong way around.
Yes. It's so if you can imagine, it's they're breaking through the middle, and he's essentially trying to shepherd the play and make sure that nobody breaks through the middle. But he leaves the space
on the ball for Real Salt Lake.
Yes, and he leaves basically space way out wide because he's tucked inside. So not only is he too far inside, but he's also basically facing the far sideline. Whereas if you're a defender, if you really want to make sure they don't come through the middle, what you should be doing is opening up so that you're sending them towards your sideline where you can then close down that angle. But because he's then facing that wrong way, the ball's played behind him, which is not good, which means he then has to take his eyes off the man he's supposed to be tracking and also the ball. So then by the time he turns, even if it's a half second, he still has to then completely...
You're facing the wrong direction, right? You mean you're already 2 steps behind.
And you then have to completely adjust because now in that half second, they may have come inside, they may have created a bit more separation, whatever, so then he has to try to close and then over-pursues and then gets cut because he over-pursues.
Here's the impressive part, the very DeAndre Yedlin part.
He makes up for it.
He catches up.
Yep.
Reggie Cannon manages to, even though he's accidentally turned his back on Joe Plata and the ball is played through and it is his mistake, he catches up to Joe Plata and gets in a great defensive position through his recovery pace.
Yes.
But then Plata kills him with one cut. Right?
So, Alex Forbes, scouting report on Reggie Cannon.
Yes.
The 19-year-old American right back for FC Dallas. I figure we may as well just throw it in.
Absolutely.
While Reggie continues to be the starter at right back, his youth and inexperience have shown specifically his positioning and one-on-one defending. Sounds familiar. Most notably, Reggie got caught out on a counter that led to an RSL goal in FC Dallas' opener on Saturday. He did well to recover and catch up to his man, but Plata fooled him with a slick cutback and a calm finish for the goal. Shortly after that nadir, Reggie nearly logged an assist from a nice overlapping run, but Raimondo denied Urruti at the goal line.
So there you go. So that is why Reggie Cannon, this is why I'm praising Oscar Pereira. Thumbs up to Oscar Pereira for just accepting that there will be defensive mistakes from Cannon, but he will offer you something going forward. And he has thrown away his deleted Grana's phone number. Grana's not coming back. Cannon's going to get that spot.
You beat me to the Grana joke, you jerk. Because I was going to say there's no way he did any better with this one, and there's certainly no way he's catching Joao Plata. So I think really, it's still an upgrade in my mind. It's still an upgrade.
What else have you got from Major League Soccer?
I've got thumbs up to, I got to flip my page around. To the link-up play between Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi for LAFC's first ever goal.
I've got thumbs down to Carlos Vela for almost but not actually giving me my specific prediction.
All right, review it real fast.
So my prediction was that LAFC's first goal would involve the outside of Carlos Vela's foot because he has this great trait of dribbling at a defence and then fooling them by slipping a pass in a direction they're not expecting, often by flicking it with the outside of his foot. And he did exactly that, but instead he did it on a weird turn reverse pass, right? So he did it, but he didn't do it.
He did it. I feel like you get partial credit. I'm fine with it. He megs Roman Torres in the process, and then it's still a very good finish because it's not like
Diego Rossi who finishes.
It's not like Diego Rossi has it wide open or has nobody on him. It's still he has pressure. It's still from outside the box, but he perfectly bends that one into the far corner. It is a lovely first goal for LAFC.
Does it finish 1-0?
It did finish 1-0 because thumbs up to goalkeeper heroics because Tyler Miller pulled off 3 saves that I can remember that were ridiculous. He did not have any business saving them, but he absolutely kept this game 1-0 for LAFC. And that means...
Is Tyler Miller former Seattle keeper as well?
Yes.
He was the Seattle backup, right?
He sure was.
Oh, okay. That's a statement game for him. The statement being, you should not have traded me.
Yeah. And then I'm going to say thumbs up to LAFC for, I feel like maybe pushing my Seattle prediction to come true faster than I expected because I said they might go out and sign some more offensive firepower. In this game was kind of all the reasons why I thought they would. You don't have Jordan Morris, so you don't have as much pace down the side. We had Will Bruin missing some chances that maybe he put away last season, but it felt like it was kind of few and far between for them. They definitely got some great chances, obviously, with Tyler Miller pulling off some saves, but it still made me wonder if maybe they need 1 or 2 more players to come in off the bench or maybe be potential starters to give them a bit more firepower up top.
Okay. I like that Tyler Miller was thinking expansion draft.
Yeah.
The whole time.
The whole time. It was a long con. It was a long play.
Thumbs up to Tata Martino for giving an illustrated demonstration of the importance of defensive midfielders.
I didn't know where you were going with it for a minute. Yes, that's what he did.
So even though in a separate game we'll maybe mention the reigning champions were beaten by Columbus Crew, I think the most talked about result of this weekend is Houston 4, Atlanta United 0.
Yes.
Because everyone was expecting big things of Atlanta United, right? They added Darlington Nagbe, but they lost their defensive midfielder, Carlos Carmona. This was much talked about in like every preview, including ours, of Atlanta United. Tata rolled it out there with Darlington Nagbe and Chris McCann in central midfield. We're very had the ball, we're up on Houston. Houston just counterattacked for fun.
Yep.
4-0 to Houston Dynamo.
And the thing is that, I know you could make the argument that, oh, well, not every team is going to sit back and counter. This might have just been their, playing the worst possible team on the first day. But it also gives the blueprint for how to beat Atlanta, that you sit back and you wait for those gaps to open up. I still think Atlanta are going to be fine. I still think they make the playoffs. But I feel more confident than ever that they're going to be the playoff team that concedes the most goals.
Yep. Unless they maybe make some changes. I mean, the hashtag play your kids thing is maybe get Chris Gosling, defensive midfielder, in there. I don't know if he's ready, but he would have done better than McCann and Nagbe in terms of stopping people coming through the middle in this game. Or we talked about this off air, right? You suggested more likely is they do some panic trading and get themselves a defensive midfielder.
I mean, there was the completely without sources, I believe, speculation of Tyler Adams for Andrew Carlton.
I think that thing was completely made up.
But I do wonder if Atlanta...
With all due respect to the people who tweeted that, I think that was made up.
I think it probably was. I do wonder, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the joke of let's see if anybody catches on to this one. It was the Zlatan being sold from PSG to Monaco rumor just to see if it picked up. But you do wonder, Atlanta have a lot of young players, and there is maybe that thought of, we need a defensive midfielder. Maybe we trade some prospects to get in somebody solid right away.
Well, if you're not going to play Andrew Carlton, maybe trade him.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Carlton did not... He was
Use
on
it
the
or
bench.
lose it, Atlanta. That's what I say.
That was one of my ideas for homegrown player tags.
Because, 40-year-old version style, if you don't use it, you do lose it. That is what could happen with Andrew Carlton. You never know.
Just a reminder, he was on the bench for this game, and at no point, even when this game was clearly lost, because 4 goals in the first half, right?
Yeah.
You could have just rolled him out second half and just see what he can do. They kept him on the bench instead. Yeah.
I will say, though, Tata Martino, I said maybe there's going to be some speculation about him becoming the U.S. national team manager.
He's working hard to quell that.
No, I'm just saying, you ship 4 goals. That is something that U.S. men's national team managers tend to do.
Taylor. Can we talk about Houston?
Sure.
Can we talk about Albert Elise's pass?
We sure can.
So not the one for the first goal. So the first goal, for those who haven't seen it, horrible mistake from Perez. Yeah. Horrible mistake from Escobar to get dragged away from Wenger? How do we pronounce that? Either
Whichever
way,
one you want.
He completely leaves him at the far post.
Wenger, I believe.
So first goal is way too easy. But the third goal, I believe, it's a Mauro Manotas goal. It is a great, weird pass from Albert Elise, which I still do not... there's some disguise on it, and I do not understand what it is, but I'm impressed because I don't understand it. Is that fair?
What do you mean by disguise?
Because it's not...
I'm not disagreeing. I'm literally wondering what specifically you mean by disguise, because I don't think it was
it's
a
unexpected.
Trick.
I didn't... Each time I watch it, it comes a second before I expect it, and I think that's also true for the Atlanta defence. Is that fair?
Yes. It's because... The way I see it is that essentially the reason why it's so strange looking is because he passes it with his plant foot. But it's not to say that he then switches, like he passes with his right foot, which is his plant foot. He does not switch to his left foot and then pass with his right foot. While his right foot is planted, he then quickly lifts it and shuffles the pass, basically. So he
uses his plant foot to hop off it, pass it, and hop back down.
Yes, exactly.
That's what's weird about it.
And that's why that's why I said it's not trick. It's not a trick necessarily. It's basically just he recognizes this is when I can play this ball. This is the only time I'll be able to do it. If I have to take a touch and then take another touch to pass that ball, the window will have closed. So here it comes. And it's a little shuffle pass using that plant foot.
So once again, Albert Elise is a very impressive footballer. He's very dangerous dribbling in for the wing.
Yes, he is.
He is not helping my prediction happen because he did not do a Wakanda Forever celebration in this game.
He did not.
Quick backstory on this. I did not know that his nickname is Pantherita. And that's why he was doing all those Panther celebrations. It wasn't all Black Panther related. It was just that his nickname is the Little Panther. Turns out he hasn't even seen the movie yet.
Well, once he does, I'm sure he'll be far more inclined to do that.
But he's taking 80 kids to see it.
See?
Very
there we
soon.
go.
Did I send you that link as well?
You did not.
He is soon taking 80 kids. He's paying for 80 kids to go and see Black Panther because his nickname is the Little Panther.
I bet you see that celebration shortly thereafter, would be my guess.
Uh-huh.
But also good on him. Taking kids.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
There was a Wakanda Forever celebration.
Oh, yes, there was. Kai Kamara. Kai Kamara and Alphonso Davies,
and Alphonso Davies did it for Vancouver Whitecaps. So thumbs down to them for ruining my prediction that Albert Ellis will be the first to do a Wakanda Forever celebration. But still thumbs up because it was an awesome celebration.
Also, I want to say this now. It's Twitter's fault that we forget our predictions because we got a bunch of people saying, like, Daryl gets his prediction point for the Black Panther celebration. And then, like, I feel like slowly we morphed into, like, oh, you just said there would be a Black Panther celebration. Same thing for, like, are you feeling less confident about your, like, oh, you've already got your Atlanta prediction wrong. And I was like, no, I said they're going to concede a bunch of goals. Like, no, I feel very good with my prediction. Yes.
I think
stop trying to confuse me, Twitter.
You'd be better off if that game finished like 4-3 or 5-4, right?
Yeah, but still.
The foundation is there.
Yeah, I think so. The foundation for poor defense, yes, it's there.
And finally, thumbs up to Gyasi Zardes, who is going to save the crew.
You've decided this?
Columbus 2, Toronto 0 with a Gyasi Zardes goal. Hashtag save the crew with Gyasi Zardes leading the way. It's his comeback and it's the crew's comeback all in one season.
It did feel strangely fitting that, like, if you're starting a new, like, career mode on FIFA, you want to be, like, the new signing and your, like, veteran are the 2 goal scorers in the opening day. Gyasi Zardes and Higuain. There you go. That's what you want. Assisted by the left back whose name I'm forgetting, but I'm very excited about. And I'm convinced that you're going to at least once openly wonder if he's maybe eligible for the U.S. national team.
Oh, was that the one who did that like weird volley cross for Higuain? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. Columbus fans will be furiously tweeting at us.
It's okay.
Just let us know, even though we can't remember his name, we were very impressed with that cross.
We were. Yes? We were. And this is where my brain is annoying because now I'm like,
Michael Bradley,
Buena? That's not it.
Michael Bradley stood and admired it, so he was impressed as well.
But yes, thank you to Gyasi Zardes for single-handedly saving the Columbus crew. I'm sure that's what's happened now.
It's on the way.
Before we get to scouting, we've got a couple more. I've got a couple more thumbs.
What else you got?
But they are reserved for the U.S. Women's National Team.
Yes, She Believes Cup is in effect. We are 2 games deep, right?
Yep. We are indeed. Thumbs up to Megan Rapinoe for doing Megan Rapinoe things.
She scored against Germany, right?
She did, being clutch in that 1-0 victory. From by all accounts,
in Columbus, or Cold-Lumbus, as it was called that day.
It looked freezing. It did not look fun. It looked like there was like freezing rain at times. There were lots of headbands.
There were.
And it was the game that kind of seemed like whoever takes that one chance they're going to get is the team that's going to win. In this situation, it's kind of route one, flicked on by Alex Morgan. Megan Rapinoe takes that ball, finishes, nutmegs the goalkeeper in the process, but that's why she's there. It's that veteran experience to put that ball in the back of the net.
You stole it, but I've got thumbs up to Alex Morgan for some proper target forward.
Let's just set you up, baby.
So if you remember, Alex Morgan is always been a striker, but I remember her specifically talking about how she's a bit quick and she's great in the box, but she wants to improve that sort of target forward element of her game. It was one of the reasons she went to play in Europe.
That's what I was just.
Do you remember that quote?
That was what I was doing with my face, listeners. I was screwing them up, trying to remember. I thought that's what it was. Yeah.
Up and to the left, if you watch The Negotiator, is what Taylor was doing. But it was a perfect just flick on from a long ball where I think we talked about this. Like, it's not even, we don't definitely know that she knew to lay that into the path of Rapinoe. She just got there first and headed it on in the best centre forward kind of way.
Do we definitely know why Samuel L. Jackson needed to have red hair in that movie?
No.
Why Danny Roman needed to have red hair? I don't know these things.
It's one of the mysteries of The Negotiator.
Which
is really like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's one I can't stop watching. When it's on, I can't.
It's one of those movies.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. Like, I know there are flaws in this, but for some reason it feels perfect.
There's a podcast I very much enjoy. They call that a hangover movie because it's just like it's on. I can watch it. I don't really have to think. I'm good. I'm good. Yes. Also, Paul Giamatti doing Paul Giamatti things.
I forgot he's in that.
Then I'm going to say thumbs up to Alyssa Nair for preserving the 1-1 draw in the USA's 1-1 draw with France.
Yes, this is the second game, which was today, right?
It was. Yeah. Not as much footage available at
highlights.
Time of recording. We only saw like brief clips. One very fuzzy clip of Mallory Pugh scoring is all I could find.
And Gomez scramble.
Yes.
She came out ahead. Yeah.
So I said thumbs up to Mallory Pugh for scoring, even though I don't know how it happened. But then I'm going to say thumbs up to Alyssa Nair, who did a very good job, especially with the second one, just because it looks simple to cover that near post, but the way she covers the near post, then comes out, cuts down the angle, makes the body save.
I haven't seen this, I have to confess.
It's good work by Alyssa Nair. She had a couple more where she saved one by stealing it from one of her own players who was like on the ground. I think it was Lindsay Horan that she like dove on top of to get the ball. I like that. I like the craziness of the goalkeeper.
She leapt over Horan to get to the
Pretty
ball.
much.
Yeah. So we now have Alyssa Nair sort of cementing herself. We end those questions about who's the number one, right? I think with performances like this and regular starts for Alyssa Nair.
Yep.
I'm prepared to be wrong about that, but that's the feeling I get based on the recent lineups, is that we have settled roughly on what our starting 11 is.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. My weird questioning face was, have we gotten Hope Solo's final game yet?
No, so that was a thing that I misunderstood, that she was going to be presented with an award for her 200th cap. She was presented with the award at the Denmark friendly, but I thought it was that she'd be playing in the game and getting her 200th cap. It was just that she's
already had
she's
her
got
200th
it,
cap.
so there's a presentation.
I see,
she's not getting a recall, as far as we know.
There we go. All right, I was kind of excited to see her playing in goal one more time.
Well, no, it's going to be Alyssa Nair from here on out.
I'm also excited for that.
It's also going to be Tiana Davidson playing centre-back. 19 years old, #play your kids for the US women's national team. So again, haven't seen the game, only seen highlights. One of the highlights is a great sort of covering tackle from Tiana Davidson. She sort of, I don't know who the French player is actually, but she steps across in that sort of, the things that I was praising Austin Trusty for, Philadelphia Union, he's the same age, where you sort of step across aggressively, win the ball, but there's no chance of it being a foul because you've timed it perfectly surgically.
Perfectly surgically.
Yes.
There we are.
Conductily, based on what I'm doing with my hands.
So one more game to go. USA still to play England?
Yes. Phil Neville's England. Ooh. Which is a weird thing to say.
You're still uncertain about that one for a variety of reasons?
I'm a huge US women's national team fan in that game.
There we go.
Let's put it that way.
There we go. There we go.
That's it. I have no more thumbs.
I have no more thumbs either.
I have 2 thumbs, but I've used them all on today.
I would be concerned if they'd fallen off. But we still have some scouting to get to, shall we, my friend?
We do. Yes,
We've knocked out 2. There are still many more to go.
Should we start with a young American?
I don't see why not.
Okay, first up is Matt Compton, who is scouting Juan Pablo Torres, the 18-year-old American midfielder for Sporting La Carène. Matt says that minutes have been hard to come by for Juan Pablo Torres. Sporting sits 14th in the Belgian First Division, changed managers in December and only has 1 win since the start of the year.
Not ideal.
Torres recently sat down for an interview and when asked about his status as a dual national, forgot about that element, commented, I always have to choose the United States.
Fake news, Daryl. Fake news.
Obviously, both my parents are Colombian and I always have Colombian pride. Because that's where my parents grew up and made their lives. But I was born and grew up in America all my life. I have that pride in me.
I'm going to say that book closed. He won't be representing Colombia.
Yes.
So there we go.
Yes.
So there's that, even if he can't get minutes. Corey Walters scouting Justin Glad, the 21-year-old American center back for Real Salt Lake. Glad started and played the full 90 in RSL's MLS opener in Dallas. He looked extremely solid and was by far RSL's best defender. He did get slightly burned by Maxi Arruti on an end-line run late in the game, which led to a centering pass that turned into a Marcelo Silva own goal.
Really? I didn't notice Glad's. Oh, I saw that goal. I mean, I put it all on Marcelo Silva. I didn't put any of it on Glad. Maybe I just didn't notice.
I assumed you blamed Chris Durkin for it, so that's where I was. The game ended in a 1-1 draw. Also in the TSS Western Conference previews, Daryl mentioned Glad was the future of the USMNT center backs, so he's got that going for him, which is nice.
It's the ultimate accolade, right? I'm sure Justin Glad it's all he cares about. Have you seen what
any
Marcelo...
Caddyshack references immediately get shoehorned into scouting reports? I always leave those in.
Have you seen what Marcelo Silva did after that own goal?
I've not.
So he accidentally puts it past his own keeper.
I'm assuming that's what happened with the own
then,
goal.
In anger, as the ball bounces back, he turns and smashes it in again.
Another one?
And then another one. And then as the ball bounces back to him, he turns and grabs it and then kicks it upfield. So he just takes all his anger out on the ball, which is kind of weirdly wonderful.
I'm going to say this. That comes from Alan
Partridge.
Thank you, not Pardue. I always want to make that clear. I feel like DJ Khaled might have stolen that one from Alan Partridge.
They do look and act weirdly similar, Alan Pardue and Alan Partridge.
They do look similar. You're not wrong. It's the nose. I think
it's
the nose.
It's the same hairstyle.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Get it
just
together.
grey-haired side parting, right?
That's troubling.
Yeah.
That's troubling. Who we got next, Daryl?
Up next is Tristan Gilliland Kunkel scouting Derek Jones, the 21-year-old American midfielder for the Philadelphia Union. Tristan said Derek came on in the 85th minute of the Union's season opener, a 2-0 victory over New England. In that time, he turned the ball over twice in midfield with misplaced passes and looked pretty nervous. In better news, Union manager Jim Curtin is playing the kids with 4 homegrown players on the field at various points in the game.
Daryl Grove stomping his feet for emphasis because he enjoys that. I feel like you are now a Philly Union fan.
I am. If they keep it up like this, I am. But it's all about playing the kids, right? They could win 5-0 every week the rest rest of the seaon. If they're not playing the kids, I'm not a Philly Union fan.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It also means slightly controversial because now you're a Philly fan and I believe also a Red Bulls fan.
Why is that then?
Ed Ritter scouting Ben Mines. I know you like some Ben Mines, so now you're rooting for both. 17-year-old American striker for the New York Red Bulls. Ben is not lacking in confidence.
I notice that every time I see him play.
Wait for it. At Red Bulls Media Day, Ben said his goal was to score 12 to 14 goals in USL this year. There is a lot of attacking talent in the Red Bulls 2 team, so this objective seems quite optimistic and very confident.
All right, go on then. Marcus McCarthy is scouting Kyle Walker-Peters, the 20-year-old English defender for Tottenham. Marcus says Walker-Peters came on in the 82nd minute and scored his first goal for his Spurs senior team in the 6-1 drubbing of Rochdale in the FA Cup. Excuse me, his first goal for the Spurs senior team. He hasn't gotten many minutes this season, given his relative inexperience and Tottenham's depth at fullback, but his poise and skill on the ball were exciting to see in that victory.
Well done, Kyle Walker-Peters. Matthew Shea scouting Alessio Romagnoli, the 23-year-old Italian centre-back for Milan.
Is he playing for Milan in the current Gattuso comeback?
Romagnoli converted his penalty in the 7th round against Lazio, his boyhood team, to secure Milan's place in the Coppa Italia final. Milan has kept 6 straight clean sheets, and the combination of Bonucci and Romagnoli, along with Donnarumma in goal, have been impenetrable.
All right.
TalkSport reports that there are talks of a new deal to ward off interest from Manchester United, Barcelona, and Chelsea, though Conte potentially leaving makes that one seem unlikely at best. That was Matthew Shea reporting that one, not me influencing that one with my own thoughts on Conte.
Beth Jolly and Alex Barone are scouting Kylian Mbappe, the 19-year-old French forward for PSG. Just a reminder, he's only 1 year older than Timothy Weah. It's just a reminder of just how far advanced in his career Kylian Mbappe is at such a crazy young age.
Yikes.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
I don't want to brag, but when I was 19, I was not
playing for PSG?
Playing for PSG.
So Beth and Alex say, PSG beat Marseille 3-0 at home twice in 4 days. Won a league, won a cup match. In the league game, Kylian scored his 10th goal in a match mostly noted for Neymar's injury. I'm assuming 10th goal of the season, not of the game. In the cup match, Kylian Mbappe suffered a foot/ankle injury, and his status for next week's Real Madrid match is unknown. Meanwhile, in this week's episode of As the Neymar Turns, Kylian's future with PSG was called into question by a report from Spanish newspaper, El País. According to that report, Neymar is reportedly unhappy with the attention Kylian attracts and wants the club to replace him with Felipe Coutinho. El País reports that PSG has approached...
But I'm with you.
Who's reading this report? Is it me reading it incorrectly or you reading it correctly?
I wasn't going to say anything except that I wonder if listeners out there are like, the pie?
All right, El País reports that PSG has approached Barcelona to propose exchanging Kylian for Coutinho plus cash. All of this seems made up.
All of that seems made up.
Yeah, tabloids.
Nice try, El Pie. John Youngblood scouting Tashan
Pie in the sky.
John Youngblood scouting Tashan Oakley-Booth, the 18-year-old English midfielder for Tottenham. Spurs announced that academy youngsters Samuel Sashoa and Tashan Oakley-Booth, had signed contract extensions with the club. Oakley-Booth's extension will keep him at Tottenham until 2021.
Which sounds like the future, but is actually quite close.
That's frightening.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go back to the Mbappe scouting report. Worth remembering, if there are all these injuries for PSG...
Timothy Weah versus Real Madrid.
Timothy Weah could be in the squad and potentially play against Real Madrid in the Champions League, which is what, Tuesday?
Yep.
We'll be reviewing that. We may get to watch an American in the Champions League on Tuesday.
Whoa.
Just saying.
That is surprising. And they have to win, right? So
if they want to go through, yeah.
Well, my point would be simply that it won't be the case of they're not going to have any attackers. They're going to sit back and bunker because they can see this one out. They got to go make something happen.
And I assume he is available to be part of the Champions League squad because he's under 21. I think you can kind of add players as you go to your Champions League squad if they're under 21.
I don't know, but I would like that to be the case. So I'm going to say you are right.
Okay. Tom Gaffney is right about James Sands, he said confidently without reading the report. James Sands is the 17-year-old American midfielder / defender for NYCFC. Tom says Sands was included in NYCFC's squad for the 2018 season, will wear the number 16 shirt. He's listed on MLS Soccer's depth chart as the number 2 defensive midfielder, but he could soon be challenged for that spot by new arrival Ebenezer Ofori, who is on loan from VfB Stuttgart.
We had NYCFC's 2-0 win over Sporting KC on the television. He was not in the squad.
He was not.
That is disappointing, nor was...
Gianluca Busio.
Thank you. Alex Rendon.
For Sporting KC.
Mm-hmm. Alex Rendon. It would be weird if he was for NYC. Alex Rendon scouting Oren McKenzie Gaines, 20-year-old American winger for Darmstadt. Gaines appeared in a couple of winter friendlies for Darmstadt, but did not register any goals or assists. He has unfortunately failed to make a single game day roster since his first start last October, and it appears his fight for playing time got tougher in January when Darmstadt picked up former Seattle Sounders and current Trinidad and Tobago winger/left back Jovan Jones, who started every game for them in February.
Oh man, so we shouldn't even the people were selling from MLS to Germany are now challenging Americans for minutes. Unacceptable. I've got a scouting report on Alex Rendon. He's been impressing in practice and will get lots of minutes for THPFC in the CVSA this year.
That works.
Thanks, Alex. Tyler Franzen is scouting Owen Otasoe, the 16-year-old American midfielder for the Wolverhampton Wolves Soccer Club.
I did that just to annoy you. I know you're surprised.
Oh, so yeah, Owen Otasoe plays for US and is a Wolves player, so I'm very excited. Okay, Tyler says
the Wolves.
Owen Otasoe has had a good run with the Wolves U18s to the extent that he was called up to the US under-18s February friendlies with Costa Rica. Came on in the 72nd minute of the first match and then played the full 90 in the 3-0 win the second match. Rumours say he could get a move this summer with Juventus, Ajax, Schalke all interested. Is this you messing with me? Or is
no,
this
it's
real?
not.
The Everton are supposed favourites to land him.
I feel like this is the usual suspects of like Schalke, always signing young Americans, Ajax, young players in the academy system, Juve, always poaching young talent, and then like Everton seem to like Americans.
Yeah.
It seems like it's kind of the usual suspects for young Americans who are exciting.
Nice try, Alpi.
Yeah. We should... Can that become the official fake newspaper of the Total Soccer Show? All right, cool.
Alpi in the sky.
I don't want to say fake news, so I'll say El Pie. I like that idea.
It's written by Arnie Pie.
Yeah. Of
Arnie in the sky, which is still my favourite ever joke on The Simpsons. Stand by that.
Mike Wills scouting Julian Brandt, the 21-year-old German attacker for Bayer Leverkusen. Look, we're an hour and 18 minutes in. we got to bring this to a close. On Saturday, Julian came off the bench and scored the game-winning goal away at Wolfsburg with a quick 1-2 at the top of the 18, followed by a deft chip over the keeper. Leverkusen won the match 2-1 and currently sit 5th in the Bundesliga. Well done, Julian.
That's what happens when you play your kids. Vu Tran is scouting Mahmoud Dahoud, the 19-year-old German defensive midfielder for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Vu says, after only seeing limited minutes recently, Dahoud went the full 90 for the first time since September in Dortmund's 1-1 draw with RB Leipzig. That's because he plays for Dortmund, not Borussia Mönchengladbach. Worth remembering. Mahmoud Dahoud plays for Borussia Dortmund. He controlled the ball well, directed traffic in midfield, made smart passing decisions and notched a beautiful assist on a through ball to Marco Reus, his teammate at Borussia Dortmund, not Borussia Mönchengladbach, which found its way through 5 defenders. Bit of a typo there, Tyler.
There we are. You never know these things. Maybe I'm just trying to keep you on your toes. Or maybe it's a typo. Guy Edwab scouting Serge Gnabry, the 22-year-old German wide forward on loan at Hoffenheim from Bayern Munich. After a month of experimenting with Gnabry as a wingback, Nagelsmann returned him to the starting lineup as a striker in a 3-5-2. Once front and center, Gnabry put in a marauding performance capped with another highlight-worthy counter-attacking goal. He started in his own half, tore through the center of Augsburg's midfield at pace, and played a smart 1-2 with Andrej Kramaric, who knows, to beat the last defender before burying it from close range.
That sounds like a great goal.
That'll work.
I want to watch that goal. Well done, Serge Gnabry. I'm sure if you were playing for Arsenal, they'd be doing much better right now.
Ooh, bringing it full circle?
Yeah,
all right.
Bringing it full circle. It's called a callback. I learned it. Thank you to everybody who sent in scouting reports. If you're waiting for your player to be assigned, my Monday is now dedicated to assigning players in the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. Email me, daryl@totalsoccershow.com, if you would like to get your player. Taylor Rockwell, thank you for reviewing many, many soccer matches with me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening as we reviewed many, many soccer matches. Please join us on Tuesday when we'll review the Champions League games.